The dim glow of distant stars barely illuminated the bridge of the decrepit warship Artemis, casting long shadows over the worn consoles and flickering displays. The vessel, once a crown jewel of the Earth's space fleet, now floated silently at the edge of known space, relegated to patrol duties that most had forgotten. Captain Leah Rennick stared into the abyss, her thoughts a tumult of strategy and past regrets. "Captain, we're picking up a distress signal," announced Lieutenant Harrow, his voice cutting through the hum of idle machinery. The young officer's hands danced across his console, teasing out the details from the static-laden transmission. Leah turned, her interest piqued. "Origin?" "Unknown, ma'am. It's weak, but it's on a high-security channel. It's not human." The words hung in the air, charged with an urgency that had long been absent from their routine missions. Non-human signals were rare, high-security ones even rarer. "Put it through," Leah ordered, her voice steady despite the flutter of anticipation in her chest. The bridge crew listened as the signal resolved into a series of structured, metallic tones interspersed with what could only be described as digital wails. The universal translator, working overtime, eventually spit out a choppy, albeit comprehensible translation. "Attention! Seeking immediate aid. Critical systems failure. Last survivors of the Zaltrax Alliance." "Zaltrax? Never heard of them," murmured the communications officer, scanning his databases. Leah nodded. "Nor have I. Plot a course, Harrow. Let's see if we can lend a hand, or find out why they're using a high-security channel." The Artemis shuddered slightly as its engines came to life, the old warhorse feeling the stir of purpose once more. The journey was short. The signal source was disturbingly close to the fringe of human-explored space. As they approached the coordinates, the void gave way to a spectacle of destruction. A massive alien vessel, its design unlike anything in human records, drifted amidst a field of debris. Its hull bore the scars of a fierce battle, gaping holes revealing the flickering lights within. "Looks like they picked a fight with the wrong crowd," commented Harrow, his tone an uneasy mix of awe and apprehension. "Or the right one, depending on your perspective," Leah countered quietly, her gaze fixed on the dying Leviathan. "Prepare to dock, and get me a security team on standby. We don't know what's waiting for us over there." The docking was a cautious affair. The Artemis extended its aging but sturdy umbilical to the alien craft, forming a fragile lifeline between the two worlds. Leah led the security team herself, stepping through the airlock with her pulse rifle at the ready. The interior of the alien ship was a labyrinth of angular corridors and flickering lights. Signs of struggle were evident, with scorch marks marring the walls and occasional debris obstructing their path. The atmosphere was thick with the acrid scent of burnt electronics and a faint, unsettling organic odor. They found the survivors in what appeared to be the ship's command center, a handful of alien beings, their bodies encased in sleek armor that seemed to merge flesh and machine. They were frail, their movements sluggish, as if the very air was a burden to them. "We are the last of the Zaltrax," croaked one, its voice synthesized through a translator module. "Our fleet was decimated by the Krigon. We are all that is left." The name Krigon sent a shiver down Leah's spine. The Krigon were known to humans, ruthless, relentless conquerors who had pushed against the outer colonies just a decade ago. "Why did they attack you?" Leah asked, her eyes scanning the wounded beings. "We possess technology. It can heal worlds, restore life. They wanted it. We refused." Leah exchanged a glance with her team. The implications were enormous. Technology that could restore planets was worth a fortune, a beacon of hope in an era where many human worlds were still recovering from war and ecological disasters. "We will help you," she said firmly, decision made. "But we need that technology. It's not just about saving you, it's about helping countless others." The alien stared at her for a long moment, assessing, then nodded slowly. "Very well. It is agreed." As they escorted the Zaltrax back to the Artemis, Leah felt the weight of their new responsibility settling on her shoulders. They were no longer just a forgotten fleet on the edge of space. They were now guardians of a potential new future for humanity. Back on the bridge, as the stars began to fade into the warp of hyperspace, Leah looked back at the receding alien vessel, a silent promise forming in her mind. To use this chance not just to survive, but to thrive. The corridors of the Artemis buzzed with a tension that had not been felt in years. News of their encounter and the alien technology they were escorting had spread through the ship like wildfire. Crew members whispered in hushed tones, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and fascination as they caught glimpses of their new guests. Captain Leah Rennick stood before the main viewing port in her office, her gaze fixed on the stars streaking past. The weight of her decision pressed heavily on her. The technology they were bringing back could change everything. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime. "Enter," she called, turning to face the door as it slid open. Lieutenant Harrow stepped in, a tablet in his hand. "Captain, I've compiled the initial reports from the Zaltrax's ship. It's unlike anything we've seen." Leah nodded, gesturing for him to continue as she took the tablet. "Details, Lieutenant." "They use a form of energy manipulation we can't fully understand yet. It seems to draw on the very fabric of space itself. This could explain their claim about restoring planets." "And the risks?" Leah asked, knowing that such power wouldn't come without its dangers. Harrow frowned, his brow furrowed. "Unstable, for one. If not properly controlled, it could lead to catastrophic energy discharges. We'll need to tread carefully." Leah handed back the tablet, her decision resolute. "Keep it under wraps for now. We don't need a panic on our hands." As the days passed, the Artemis continued its journey back to Earth. Leah spent hours in the makeshift conference room they had provided for the Zaltrax. The aliens, though initially reserved, began to open up under her persistent yet respectful inquiries. Their leader, who went by the title of Emissary Vox, shared stories of their world, a planet of vast oceans and floating cities, now lost to the Kriegans' relentless assault. Their technology, developed in harmony with their environment, was their last hope. Leah listened, her heart heavy. "Your trust in us won't be misplaced. I'll personally see to that." Vox nodded, his voice modulated through the translator. "Your actions have spoken, Captain Rennick. We observe and learn much from behavior." The journey was not without its incidents. Curiosity among the crew led to a minor breach of protocol when a young ensign, driven by an impetuous desire to understand the alien technology, attempted unauthorized access to the Zaltrax's equipment. The incident ended without harm, but Leah used it as a teaching moment, reinforcing the need for discipline and respect for their guests. The ensign was reprimanded, but not punished severely, the captain choosing to emphasize learning over discipline. As Earth approached, the reality of their mission's end became tangible. Leah convened a meeting with her senior officers and the Zaltrax representatives. "We're about to re-enter a world that hasn't seen hope like this in a long time," she began, her eyes scanning the room. "What we do next could very well shape the future of not just humanity, but potentially other civilizations that the Kriegan might threaten." Vox stepped forward, his tone serious. "We offer this gift not lightly. It comes with a responsibility to use it wisely and justly." Leah nodded in agreement. "We'll set up a joint task force to study the technology, full transparency, no military applications without mutual consent. Does that align with your expectations?" "It does," Vox confirmed, relief apparent in his synthetic voice. The others in the room nodded, a silent pact forming among them. As the Artemis entered the Earth's orbit, Leah felt the familiar surge of nerves. They were carrying not just alien passengers or promising technology, but a potential new dawn for many worlds. Whatever lay ahead, she knew the Artemis and her crew would face it not as forgotten defenders of a distant frontier, but as pioneers of a hopeful future. The Artemis glided gracefully into the high-security docking bay at the United Nations Space Command headquarters, its arrival marked by a flurry of activity and high-level alerts. News of their cargo and the Zaltrax had leaked despite Leah's efforts, sparking both excitement and fear among Earth's populace and its leaders. As the docking clamps locked into place with a resonant thud, Captain Leah Rennick straightened her uniform, preparing to face the barrage of military brass and political leaders awaiting her. Beside her, Emissary Vox and his two companions stood, their sleek armored forms a stark contrast to the humans bustling around them. "Remember, Nothing gets decided without our mutual agreement, Leah whispered to Vox, who nodded slightly, his body humming softly with the subtle vibrations of his armor. The airlock doors hissed open, revealing a delegation led by Admiral Clark, a stern woman with a reputation for her uncompromising stance on security. She was flanked by several high-ranking officials, including diplomats from the UN's Extraterrestrial Relations Bureau. "Captain Rennick, welcome back," Admiral Clark said, extending a hand. Her eyes briefly flicked to the Zaltrax, betraying a hint of her underlying concern. "Admiral," Leah greeted, shaking her hand firmly, "I believe we have much to discuss." The group was quickly ushered into a secure conference room, surrounded by armed guards and electronic surveillance gear meant to prevent any eavesdropping. Leah found the display of force excessive, but understood the fear driving it. As they settled, Admiral Clark wasted no time. "Captain, the presence of these aliens and their technology aboard an Earth military vessel has raised significant concerns. We need a full debriefing." Leah nodded, taking the lead. "The Zaltrax are refugees, their civilization nearly destroyed by the Krigan, a threat we are all too familiar with. They've offered us a chance to learn and possibly replicate their planet-healing technology, under strict conditions of peace and mutual benefit." A murmur ran through the room. The potential of such technology was not lost on anyone there, but neither were the strategic implications. "What assurances do we have that this technology won't be turned against us, or fall into the wrong hands?" one of the diplomats asked, eyeing the Zaltrax warily. Vox stepped forward, addressing the room. "This technology was not developed for war. It is the heart of our civilization, meant to create and sustain life. We seek only sanctuary, and a chance to rebuild what we have lost." Leah watched as the assembled leaders absorbed Vox's words, their expressions a mix of skepticism and hope. She knew that overcoming their fears and biases was key to forging a successful alliance. Admiral Clark cleared her throat. "We propose a joint human Zaltrax task force to study and evaluate this technology. It will be overseen directly by the UN with full transparency at all stages." "That is acceptable," Leah replied, looking to Vox for confirmation. He nodded. "We agree on the condition of equal representation and authority in this task force." The meeting continued with the hashing out of details, from security protocols to scientific collaboration. Leah felt a cautious optimism growing. This could be the start of something transformative, not just for Earth, but for other worlds threatened by the Krigan. After the meeting, as the delegates filed out, Leah and Vox shared a quiet moment of reflection. "We've taken the first step," Leah said, watching Earth turn slowly below them through the station's large viewport. "A significant one," Vox added. "Perhaps the first of many." As the Artemis crew prepared to return to their ship, Leah felt the weight of history on her shoulders. They were no longer just soldiers and explorers, but diplomats and guardians of a potentially brighter future. The challenges ahead were daunting, but the promise of what could be achieved spurred them onward. The journey back to the Artemis felt different this time, filled not with the silence of isolation, but with the quiet murmur of potential. The creation of the human Zaltrax task force marked a historic moment, and its assembly became a top priority. The headquarters buzzed with an energy it hadn't seen in years as experts in various fields — ecology, energy, engineering, diplomacy — gathered from all corners of Earth and beyond. Captain Leah Rennick, now appointed as the co-chair alongside Emissary Vox, faced the monumental task of guiding this diverse group toward a common goal. The first official meeting of the task force was set in a large conference room that overlooked the bustling activity of the headquarters' main dock. The room was filled with a palpable sense of urgency mixed with curiosity, as human scientists and Zaltrax engineers exchanged tentative greetings and shared their expertise. Leah opened the meeting with a clear voice. "This task force represents not only a collaboration between our two species, but also a beacon of hope for all civilizations threatened by the Krigan. Our mission is to understand and adapt the Zaltrax technology for peaceful purposes, ensuring it benefits all without becoming a tool for further conflict." Vox, his voice resonating with a metallic timbre, added, The technology we share today goes beyond mere energy. It's about restoring balance, healing worlds that have been torn apart by war and neglect. It is our hope that by helping Earth, we are taking the first step toward a broader alliance. The task force was divided into 3 main committees focusing on integration, security, and diplomacy. The Integration Committee, led by Dr. Emily Chu, a renowned physicist, was tasked with understanding the fundamental principles of the Zoltrax technology and finding ways to integrate it safely with human tech. Dr. Chu spoke with an enthusiastic tone. Our initial analysis is promising. The Zoltrax use a form of quantum entanglement that interacts directly with planetary biospheres. However, the complexity is beyond anything we've encountered. We'll need to proceed with caution. The Security Committee, headed by General Anders, a veteran of Earth's outer colony defenses, was less optimistic. While the scientific potential is clear, we must not overlook the strategic implications. This technology, if weaponized, could be devastating. Our priority is to safeguard this technology, ensuring it does not fall into the wrong hands, especially not the Krigon. The Diplomacy Committee, led by Ambassador Suki Nguyen, focused on the broader implications of the alliance. We must tread carefully, she advised. Introducing a powerful new technology into the geopolitical landscape could shift power balances. Our goal is to foster cooperation, not competition or fear. As the meeting unfolded, it became evident that while the task was daunting, the commitment to success was unanimous. Discussions were intense and often technical, with Zoltrax engineers patiently explaining their systems and human scientists proposing various tests and simulations. Over the next few weeks, the headquarters became a vibrant hub of activity. Labs were set up with state-of-the-art equipment, and secure communication lines buzzed with reports and data analyses. The Zoltrax, for their part, were generous with their knowledge but cautious about ensuring the technology's integrity and purpose were preserved. Amidst this whirlwind of activity, Leah found herself often pausing to reflect on the gravity of their task. One evening, standing before the same large viewport, she watched a cargo ship docking, its side emblazoned with the insignia of the United Nations. Beside her, Vox seemed similarly contemplative. "We are making progress," he observed, his gaze fixed on the earth below. "Yes, but it's only the beginning," Leah replied. "The real test will be when we start the actual planetary trials. There's still much we don't understand." Vox turned to her, his eyes glowing faintly. "True understanding is a journey, not a destination. We are on the right path." As they turned back to the window, the earth seemed to shine a little brighter, a silent witness to the burgeoning hope and the immense challenges ahead. Leah felt a mix of apprehension and excitement. This was uncharted territory, but they were not walking it alone. The Sahara Desert, once an arid expanse of endless dunes, had been chosen as the site for the first planetary trial of the Zoltrax technology. Under the watchful eyes of the human Zoltrax task force, a sprawling complex of tents, temporary labs, and security stations had been erected near the edge of what was colloquially known as the Reclamation Zone. Captain Leah Rennick, alongside emissary Vox, stood overlooking the trial site from a raised platform. Below them, technicians and scientists busied themselves with the final preparations. The air was thick with anticipation, and the faint buzz of drones that hovered above, capturing every moment. "Everything's ready," Dr. Emily Chu reported, approaching Leah and Vox with a tablet in hand. "We're about to initiate the first phase. The Zoltrax device has been calibrated to target a small controlled area. We're monitoring all variables closely." Leah nodded, her focus intense. "Proceed when ready, Dr. Chu." The gathered crowd of officials, scientists, and media held their breath as the Zoltrax device, a sleek silver machine adorned with intricate etchings and pulsing with a soft blue light, whirred to life. The machine began to emit a low hum, and a beam of light extended towards the parched soil of the Sahara. As minutes passed, the barren earth began to transform. Grass sprouted rapidly, followed by shrubs, and within an hour, what had been lifeless sand was now a patch of thriving greenery. The onlookers erupted in applause, marveling at the miraculous rejuvenation. "This is incredible," Leah murmured, sharing a look of amazement with Vox. "Yes, but it is only a first step," Vox replied, his voice cautious yet hopeful. "Sustaining this growth and ensuring it does not disrupt local ecosystems is our next challenge." The success of the initial test quickly captured global attention. News outlets from every corner of Earth broadcasted images of the desert's transformation, sparking debates and discussions about the potential applications of the technology. Environmental groups expressed cautious optimism, while economic forums buzzed with speculation about the implications for agriculture and land management. Amidst the excitement, the Security Committee ramped up their efforts. General Anders stationed additional troops around the test site and increased surveillance, aware that the technology's demonstration could attract unwanted attention, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. "We've just shown the galaxy a prized possession," General Anders told Leah during a security briefing. "We need to be prepared for any response, not least from the Krigan." Leah agreed, feeling the weight of responsibility. "Keep our defenses on high alert, General. We can't afford any breaches." As the trials continued, with each test slightly larger than the last, the Diplomacy Committee worked tirelessly to manage the international response. Ambassador Nguyen coordinated with global leaders to establish guidelines for sharing and implementing the technology, aiming to prevent an arms race or economic disparities from undermining the project's potential benefits. "We must remember that this technology was shared with us under a premise of peace and restoration," Ambassador Nguyen emphasized in a crucial diplomatic meeting. "It's our duty to uphold these principles." Months passed, and the green patch in the Sahara expanded, becoming a symbol of hope and a testbed for collaborative international efforts. Leah often walked through the new growth, the green leaves and the earthy smell of soil a stark contrast to the still surrounding desert, reminding her of the delicate balance they needed to maintain. As preparations for a global summit on the technology's future began, Leah stood once more with Vox, looking out over the burgeoning oasis. "We've achieved something remarkable," she said, pride mingled with an edge of caution in her voice. Vox nodded, his gaze contemplative. "Yes, we have sparked a change. Now we must cultivate it, ensure it grows into what we envision, a tool for good, not greed." Their conversation was a reminder of the challenges ahead. As the world watched and waited, the task force prepared to step into a future where Earth might once again be a flourishing planet, a beacon of unity and environmental revival. But with great power came great risk, and the path forward was fraught with uncertainty. The Global Environmental Summit convened in Geneva, a city now buzzing with political dignitaries, scientists, and environmentalists from around the world. The once theoretical discussions about the Zoltrax technology had transitioned into strategic planning and implementation debates. The green expanse in the Sahara served as a testament to the technology's potential, and the summit was charged with determining how it could be deployed globally without sparking conflict or environmental imbalance. Captain Leah Rennick and Emissary Vox were central figures at the summit, their roles having evolved from operational leaders to global ambassadors for the technology. As they prepared to address the assembly, the weight of the moment was palpable. Leah looked over the sea of delegates, her heart beating with a mix of nervous anticipation and determination. "Today we stand on the brink of a new era," she began, her voice steady and clear. "One where we have the tools to heal our planet. But with great power comes great responsibility. We must act wisely, ensuring that this technology does not become a commodity that divides us, but a resource that unites us." Vox followed, his alien features composed, his voice resonant in the hall. "Our world was lost to conflict over resources, a fate we wish upon no other. This technology is our gift and our legacy. We entrust it to Earth with the hope that it will foster a new age of cooperation and regeneration." The summit unfolded over several days, marked by workshops, negotiations, and policy-making sessions. The Integration Committee demonstrated controlled experiments, showing the detailed processes and safeguards involved in the technology's deployment. The Security Committee outlined measures to protect the technology from misuse and established a protocol for a rapid response unit should any attempt be made to weaponize the tech. Ambassador Nguyen led the diplomacy committee, which worked tirelessly to draft an international treaty outlining the equitable distribution and use of the technology. This treaty is not just a document, it's a covenant among all nations to protect and cherish our planet, she declared during a pivotal session. The summit culminated in a unanimous decision to establish the Earth Restoration Consortium, a body governed by an international council, including representatives from the Zaltraks. This consortium would oversee the deployment of the technology, ensuring environmental, social, and political considerations were respected. As the final day of the summit arrived, Leah and Vox stood together once more, this time to sign the treaty along with other world leaders. The signing ceremony was broadcast worldwide, a symbol of Earth's unified commitment to a brighter future. After the ceremony, Leah and Vox walked along the shores of Lake Geneva, the air crisp and the water reflecting the clear blue sky. "What we've started here will change the course of history," Leah said, a smile touching her lips. Vox looked out over the lake, his thoughts seemingly far away. "Change is the essence of life," he mused. "May this change heal and prosper." As the delegates departed, plans were already underway for the first major deployment of the technology. Leah felt a mix of pride and relief. They had navigated the complexities of introducing a world-altering technology with care and foresight. The future was uncertain, but it was filled with potential. As Leah returned to the Artemis, now repurposed as a research and command vessel for the Earth Restoration Consortium, she knew the real work was just beginning. The technology had the power to heal not just the Earth, but perhaps even to mend the fabric of interstellar communities. Under the vast expanse of the sky, the Artemis set a course back to the Sahara, its mission clear and its crew ready. They were not just protectors or explorers anymore. They were guardians of a new dawn, heralds of hope and renewal for Earth, and potentially other worlds facing the shadow of destruction. As the stars began to twinkle in the evening sky, Leah felt a deep connection to the universe and its infinite possibilities. The journey ahead was filled with challenges, but also with the promise of regeneration and peace. This was not the end, but a new beginning, a new dawn for Earth and her people.